Hi parents. Today's video is kind of a combo. The kids have a test on Thursday over dividing, so I wanted to talk about that first. And then we're also talking about prime and composite numbers, and so then I'll go into a little bit of that as well. So they have a division test on Thursday. We have gone over three things when it comes to division. So the first one was dividing whole numbers. And like I showed in my last video, we pretty much stay with the standard algorithm like we have here. But you may have seen your students come home doing their division this way. Like I said, it's just however a child sees it better. Some of them just see it better going across. Others see the steps going down. Either way, it works. So the test will be over dividing whole numbers. It will also be about modeling dividing decimals, and then just dividing decimals as well. So, of course, there's going to be some word problems and so forth, but for the most part, division will be the main operation that they'll do. Today and tomorrow, we are starting our new unit, our favorite, fractions. Okay, and we'll actually be in fractions for a while, so I'm really only going to talk about just this page today, and then I'll make another video to talk about the rest of these. So when we start fractions, the first thing we talk about are prime and composite numbers, and the foldable that we're using looks like this. So prime numbers and composite numbers. So a prime number is a whole number with exactly two factors, one in itself, and a composite number is a whole number with factors other than one in itself. And then we do some examples. So here are some prime numbers. So 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, and 29. And here are some examples of a composite number: 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 18, 20, and 21. Some special things that the students need to remember is that 1 is a special number and it's neither prime nor composite. 2 is the only even prime number, and that's because all the other numbers can be divided by 2. So they have 2 as a factor. So then it can't be a prime number, it has to be a composite number. And then composite numbers can be even or odd. So this is where I have a lot of students start thinking, oh, so if it's an odd number, it's prime, and if it's an even number, it's composite. Odd and even have nothing to do really with prime numbers or composite numbers. It's really all about the factors of them. And so today we did a lesson on factor arrays and going over what the factors are and so forth of a number. Like if I had the number 12, I can make 12 by, let's see, in fact, I'll write this down and I'll come back to what this is in just a moment. So if I had the number 12, I can make 12 by making a factor array of 1 by 12, by 2 by 6, or 3 by 4. So because this number 12 has 3 factor arrays, this would be a composite number. But if I had the number 13, I can only make a factor array for 13 as 1 times 13. There is no other way for me to make a factor array or factor pairs for 13. That's the only way I can multiply to get 13. So then this would be a prime number because it only has 2 factors, 1 times itself. Okay, so that's basically the difference between prime and composite numbers. We spent today making a poster about all the factors of 1 through 25 and made their factor arrays, and then tomorrow we'll go over, looking at it visually as if a number only has 1 factor array, then it's a prime number, and if it has more than 1 factor array, it's a composite number. Something else that I show the students is this chart here, and this chart is called the sieve of Eratosthenes. Eratosthenes was a Greek mathematician who came up with prime numbers. He's the one that noticed that some numbers only have 2 factors, 1 in themselves, and so then he taught. He's basically Who came up with prime and composite numbers? So what we do is we do a sieve, and it's kind of like a spaghetti colander, and we sift out all the prime numbers, so the composite numbers go through. And when we do that by factors. We mark out the number 1 because it's neither prime nor composite. We circle 2 because it's the first prime number, and then we mark out all of the even numbers because all of them can be divided by 2, so 2 is a factor. Then we circle the 3 because it's the next prime number, and we mark out all the multiples of 3. Then we circle 5 because it's the next prime number, and we mark out all the multiples of 5. We circle 7, and then we mark out all the multiples of 7. And by the time we finish with 7, all of the numbers have been factored out. So any number that's left is a prime number from 1 to 100. If I wanted to go further past 100, I could, and I just had to continue with like the multiples of 7, then multiples of 11, the multiples of 13, and so forth. But we only really focus with 1 through 100. And the students will refer to this chart quite a bit because, like I said, in 5th grade, they just have to identify prime and composite numbers. So they'll get questions like, which number is a prime number? Which number is a composite number, maybe out of a list of numbers. Or it will give, these were the 4 scores, whose number was a prime number, or something like that. So they tend to use the sieve of Eratosthenes a lot. And when we get closer to the STAR test, I have the kids make one every day so that they've got it memorized. But until then, we just refer to it in our journals, and we use our journal as our reference. So if they say, oh, I left my prime and composite chart, or oh, I left my sieve of Eratosthenes at school, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about this. So this is what they're looking for, their prime and composite numbers. Next week, I will show a video on the next thing on our list, which is GCF and LCM and equivalent fractions and simplifying fractions. So these are kind of some 4th grade review that we do before we get into the 5th grade fractions, which is adding and subtracting fractions with unlike denominators, multiplying fractions and whole numbers, dividing whole numbers by fractions, and dividing fractions by whole numbers. And those are fun times with the fractions, but we do have a good time. And like I said, this is a long unit, so we're in this unit for a while. So be looking for some videos coming soon about the rest of that. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I hope these videos are helpful to you, and I can't wait to go over this with the kids tomorrow. Have a great week. Thanks. Bye.